I watch a lot of anime, and I mean a lot of anime. Trying to keep up with the seasonals while going through my backlogs of shows I should have watched a long time ago, and even just taking blind chances on shows that I've never even heard of. So, inevitably, I've watched a lot of bad anime. Yet, I almost always try to get through any of the shows I've started, simply because I like to give shows the benefit of the doubt. And as long as they don't do anything that directly pisses me off, I'll usually watch them to completion. I mean, perfect example, I'm still current on Black Clover. So when Real Girl came out last year, I briefly mentioned it in one of my videos, naming it an overly niche and somewhat generic show. So when season 2 of the show came out just a few weeks back, I was a bit surprised, and decided to continue watching, mostly out of habit. And I'm gonna say something that I don't often admit when creating content. I was wrong. I thought Real Girl was this boring show with generic characters that would never evolve into anything. Then the second season changed everything. Real Girl, oh god, there goes my pride, is honestly a fantastic show and is looking to be one of the better anime coming out of this season. Oh god, YouTube career, please come back. I know, Matt, why would you ever recommend this generic looking, poorly animated show with cookie cutter characters? And trust me, I should know because that's what I've always referred to it as beforehand. But the second season takes some incredibly brave risk with the characters, doubling down on the major themes of the show, and its payoff is huge. I'm Manime Matt, and let's talk about how it's not always about you. The protagonist, Susui, is a very creative character. He's an average high schooler with only one friend who thinks lowly of himself and is a hardcore otaku. Okay, maybe I'm not exactly selling this to you very well, but his extremely generic backstory ends up being this great jumping off point for his development as a character. Susui is a loser and he knows it. He thinks very lowly of himself and often puts himself down through his own disposition. He is, well, pretty depressed. So when out of nowhere, one of the most attractive girls in school asks him out, he obviously assumes she's just making fun of him. As the show continues, he eventually finds out that she is telling the truth and they actually end up dating pretty early on. But what makes this show so different from any other romance anime is this idea of control. Susui is an excellent example of this. He is not arrogant or thinks highly of himself. Yet, weirdly enough, he has this idea that any negative situations that occur around him is somehow his fault, and on top of that, he has to be the one that solves it. It's a very classic kind of conundrum that most anime protagonists are praised for having. But Real Girl has another approach to this idea. That being that everything isn't about you. Susui often gets into trouble because of this trait that he has, and he has to slowly learn that everything that happens around him isn't always his fault or problem to solve in the first place. One of my favorite arcs about this happened very recently. Susui's best friend finally started dating a girl that he's been pursuing for the first half of the season. This inevitably leads to Ito leaving early and hanging out with Susui less. So getting nervous, our protagonist begins to assume that Ito is avoiding him. Even worse, when he finally decides to follow Ito, he sees that Ito actually goes to talk to Takanashi about something rather than just hanging out with him. Susui jumps to conclusions and assumes that Ito doesn't trust him and can't confide in him anymore. But in truth, Ito was simply asking for advice on stuff that he knew Susui had no knowledge of. It's a relatively simple arc, but it highlights our protagonist's constant engagement with everyone as being a flaw. But I think my favorite arc in the entire show occurs about halfway through the second season. It comes off of one of the more happy-go-lucky arcs of the show. Everyone's in a good mood, he's on a date with his girlfriend, and then the couple behind them in the restaurant begin to have an argument. We hear that it's about how the guy can't keep being unfaithful to his wife, and he has to call off their secret meetings. When this couple leaves, we see that it's actually Susui's father, Freaked out by the whole situation, Susui returns home, contemplating whether or not to tell his mother, only to find out that his mother already discovered the truth and decided to file for a divorce. It's this insane episode that disrupts all of the characters' lives. It's the first time that Susui is put into a real situation that he understands that he truly had no power over. It's a really powerful arc of the anime that challenges our protagonist and teaches him that he can't control everything. As a matter of fact, when he tries to take control of the situation by talking to his mother about who she'll be taking with her when she moves out, Susui, or his younger brother, this attempt of controlling the situation backfires and she decides to take him against his will. I won't spoil how the arc ends, but it's once again proof that Susui can't control everything. Another highlight I just kind of want to shove into this video despite it not really working around the theme. Sorry, I just know I'll probably never have the time to cover this show again. But the development of all the characters is astounding. Ito in particular is my favorite character, but Ishino, Aido, even Takanashi see major developments in their personality and how they act throughout the series. They all work together to make each other better people, and it's just so charming I can't stop watching. I do still stand by my biggest argument with the show, that being that it is ultra niche, even for anime. But I can't deny that Real Girl has become one of my favorite anime of the year so far, and that means a lot with how competitive it's been. This theme of everything not always being in the protagonist's control, and his eventual development into learning to accept that, is something that I haven't seen before, and just overall, I feel is a very good lesson that I think we should all apply a little more in our own lives. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe. I make anime related videos once a week. Look, I'll admit it, this show is way better than what I expected it to be. I'm really happy I continued watching it for the second season, and now I'm trying to get more people to watch it, because the first season definitely doesn't seem like it's setting up for something this incredible, but I mean, I was wrong, so I'm trying to make up for it a little bit here. A huge thank you to my patrons, you guys are my heroes. Speaking of which, if you're interested in seeing how I edit, joining our exclusive Discord, or simply supporting the channel, feel free to join me on Patreon. Make sure you guys share, like, comment, and subscribe. This is Manime Matt. Make sure you guys say man and go watch that goddamn anime.